So this is a really cool teepee. Imagine, this is what they lived in back then. This is it. This is all the room they lived in back then. We today are so spoiled. Always got to have the big houses. Like, and I'm one of them. Don't kid yourself.
So why, what's the deal? He ended up running into a guy who found some gold, and that's what they give him credit for. But I guess what a lot of Americans are not aware of is that that gold that he found at that time, that it took America out of debt.
Really?
Yeah, and for a shorter time, America had a bunch of loans, I think, from France and everything, but that gold, and it was black gold produced the most gold in the whole world, paid off. That's what you see. You get a protest going on, and everybody's thinking over here. And they think it's the gold over there. I'm aware of that. Oh yeah, we'll give you some grant money to protest and get your culture going on. We're gonna keep digging over here.
Yeah. I told her yesterday, I said, it's sad. Our government has been corrupt from day one. Really. When you look at what happened, there was nothing fair about that. Nothing.
Well, that's like when they talked about the pandemic and the most people ever that died, and we were like, what about the American Indian War? We've forgotten about all the people that died there. There were more people there than the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Just,
oh well.
Well, and it's for me, I guess my perspective, it's a lot more complicated than just one side of things.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because you had technology going on.
Right.
So, I could give you a short little history lesson, but even before the Pilgrims came, there was English fishermen that were going along the coast, right? And then even before that, there was Vikings that were going along the coast, and they were trading, right, with the tribes.
Right.
Well, then, because of the different merchandise and different things that were being brought over, then that started competition between the tribes who gets to trade with these new guys coming over on the ship. See where that just starts right there?
Yeah.
There's that little bit of greed, a little bit of something new, and I would encourage you guys, there's a book out there called Native Oratory, and the experience of Kicking Bear, who was one of our, I would say, messengers of our ghost dance that led to the Wounded Knee Massacre.
Okay.
And when you learn about that ghost dance and learn about Kicking Bear's experience, then you kind of understand what I'm talking about with technology, because it has somewhat of a way that he was tested. So he was like, we got pots and pans. We got like sunglasses, right?
Yeah.
Like Sitting Bull loved having some sunglasses, an umbrella, things that we think of as simple stuff, but those were like major deal, and then another thing that killed tribes like over on the East Coast was this red paint they brought from Europe. But they didn't know that red paint had mercury in it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and the paint was actually wore not just for intimidation. Everybody thinks it's intimidation. No, it's utilitarian. Just like baseball players wear paint underneath their eyes right here to block out the sun. And then they wore it on their foreheads as sunscreen as well.
Well, we're going to Little Bighorn next week.
Yeah.
What do we need? What's a short lesson we need to know about that?
Just when you go into that battle site, it's a tough one because the Crow agency is right there, so you might have a Crow guide, and they might give you a Crow perspective, and they've always been a Crow perspective. I love everybody, right? I've experienced as a historian and represent my tribe over there before and know it. Just keep in mind, as you're going through, if you drive through the battle site, that Crazy Horse was at the south, and he rode all the way up to the north. He was at both pivotal points when there was an attack going on with people.
Wow.
And then you think of Crazy Horse, so a little emphasis on him because he's one of my biggest role models. He was light like I was. He wasn't, like, from a distance, the cavalry thought he was a different looking native, and they all just say that.
Yeah.
And he never took anybody's scalps. And he was only out there to really, he wanted to just get everybody out of here. He just wanted to scare him out of him. But just imagine, this guy was so brave that the cavalry be lined up, he would be the first one to ride out in front of them. So he'd ride out there in front of them, and everybody's shooting at him and stuff like that. And at that particular battle, the traditional story says that he had he had this medicine with him that no bullet would touch him as long as he didn't touch any bullets. As long as he didn't put any bullets or any metal in his mouth, no bullets would touch him. And they said that he came back to camp and he took out 35 soldiers and he took off his leather vest and shook off all these bullets.
Wow.
That's what they say. And remember that it was his own. It was his own. It was our own that ended up murdering him too.
Right, sure.
Wow.
What a big man. And that's, you know.
Now, is that why Custer wasn't scalped because of him?
No, you know who killed Custer, right? You guys got a minute? It was a woman.
Mhm.
You know
So-
that figures.
So American Horse claims in all the history books, American Horse claims the final blow of Crazy Horse. But I think American Horse got the blow to knock him off the horse. But a lot of are not aware that Custer had a Cheyenne mistress. Okay, and so she was pregnant with his child at the time. She had told them before that not to come after the people and not to do this. And he didn't listen. And so the thing that killed Custer at the very last was a final blow in his ear from a sewing awl. Right in there for not listening to her.
Wow.
And she gave birth to that child. That child was born in Lame Deer, Montana. Moved to Pine Ridge because it got a lot of grief because it's half Custer blood.
Right.
Moved to Pine Ridge, married in with the Oglalas. Now the descendants of Custer are Cheyenne and Oglala and German.
That's awesome.
Nice.
And they're within the two tribes that fought him.
That's hilarious. You know, he got his.
But the
Yeah,
Custer
he got the
family,
last word.
My next door neighbor is a direct descendant, but the Custer family the eastern part of the states won't claim their native cousins.
Of course not. Of course not.
It's funny.
Because it wasn't for them.
That's awesome, man.
Thank you.
What was your name?
Sequoia Crosswhite.
Crossway.
Yeah, you can
full
find.
of it, right?
Huh?
Full of
Yeah. No, but you can find me online. I have music and stuff online too,
Oh, okay.
on Spotify and iTunes and everything.
Well, let me put that in here.
Yeah.